Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Jerry Tope.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we present news we hope you find interesting and report on local issues and events. Call us with your news tips or topics you'd like to see covered, 677-4119.
We appreciate you watching DCTV. Today's show is live Monday at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 6 p.m. and re-aired on Thursday at noon, 2:30 and 6.
Coming up, Mesa Verde, missing man, rural transit, and a new dinosaur, and more.
Find out about CSU Ag Talk, the Ag Expo Space Talk at the Sunflower, along with the weather and the area happenings.
That's all coming up today, March 6, 2017, and now here's the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a 31-year-old Florida man was found early Monday morning in a shed near the Dolores River after a motorcycle accident and a 4-hour search involving multiple law enforcement agencies, according to a press release from the San Miguel County Sheriff's Office. San Miguel County dispatchers received a call at 2:30 a.m. reporting a crashed motorcycle and blood, but no driver, on the side of the road on Colorado Highway 141, about 7 miles north of Egner. The call prompted an extensive overnight search for him in blizzard conditions Monday near Egner, about 50 miles northwest of Cortez. Egner Fire and EMS and a Dove Creek ambulance responded to the scene, but could not find the driver. San Miguel County deputies and search and rescue personnel were then dispatched and began a search for the driver. Colorado State Patrol also responded. The driver later told sheriff's deputies he found a small shed about 4.5 miles from the crash site near the Dolores River alongside of the Colorado 141 and stayed there until dawn. Search and rescue personnel located the man about 6:47 a.m. Monday along the roadway about 80 yards from the shed, with multiple injuries, according to a press release. Deputies noted that what appeared to be a simulated bed in the shed made from bags of dog and horse food. San Miguel County Deputy Sheriff Chris White, who was on scene, said in the release the man was lucky to be alive. He was fortunate to have found shelter after a bad accident and cold, windy winter conditions, White said. This is another situation where the person, even with severe injuries, was self-rescue capable. He got himself where he needed to be. The driver told sheriff's deputies he was traveling alone en route to Boulder when he found he was going too fast to round a corner and slid into a guardrail. That area is noted to have a sudden speed limit drop from 65 miles an hour to 35. The man told deputies he did not see the sign indicating the speed limit drop. The crash is believed to have happened sometime after 9 p.m. on Sunday. The driver told deputies he waited on the side of the road for passerby assistance until temperatures started falling, the wind picked up, and it started to snow. He decided to walk along the road in an effort to find shelter. Temperatures in the area overnight were reportedly as low as 17 degrees, with winds gusting up to 40 miles an hour. Dove Creek EMS transported the man to Monticello, Utah, for further care. In the release, San Miguel County Sheriff Bill Masters commended the efforts of all involved. All of the responders, many of them volunteers, deserve a tremendous amount of kudos for coming out in the middle of the night and working through a blizzard to find this man, and I thank them.
Reported in the Cortez Journal, after a storm kept them away from a January conference, 2 agricultural economists finally got a chance to address Cortez farmers in person. Norm Dahlstedt and Jenny Bierman, both professors and extension agents with Colorado State University, were invited to be the keynote speakers of the first annual Southwest Agricultural Outlook Strategies and Economic Summit on January 24th, but after a snowstorm kept them away, the event's organizers scheduled a follow-up workshop to give local farmers a chance to learn from their expertise. Last Monday, February 27, about 20 people went to the Montezuma County Fairgrounds to hear about how to create an enterprise budget for the region's common crops. Bierman, who works out of Grand Junction, was visiting Cortez for the first time, but said she hopes to make the trip more often. People tend to forget about the southwest corner of Colorado, but there's really good agricultural land here, she said. Bierman had helped with the research for the workshop, and she answered questions from the audience, but Dahlstedt, who has been to Montezuma County many times over his long career, did most of the talking. He'd given a broad overview of enterprise budgets through a video conference call at the Agriculture Summit, but here he expanded on the lecture and made it more interactive. All the attendees had received worksheets ahead of time to write down their crop and livestock costs, and Dahlstedt asked them to work with him to create workable budgets for the fiscal year or two. He said most of the farmers were more thorough than he expected. With the help of spreadsheets and statistics displayed on the wall of the Fairgrounds Stadium's conference room, Dahlstedt showed farmers how to tally up their costs against the projected price for each crop at harvest. They created budgets for wheat, alfalfa, beef, and other products that tend to be most profitable in Montezuma County. He also gave a few tips on how to bring in revenue, like renting storage space or selling old equipment. He also said farmers can save money by avoiding the temptation to buy new, unneeded equipment. Steve Slagle, Cortez market manager for Four Corners Community Bank, said that's not a big problem in Montezuma County. People around here are frugal with their equipment, he said. It doesn't have to be flashy. Farmers discussed from crop insurance to pesticides. Some participants were experienced farmers, while some were new to the business. Dahlstead told the newer farmers they should expect to spend a lot of time on their finances. Like the summit in January, Monday's workshop was sponsored by Four Corners D&D Sales, Dove Creek Implement, and the Basin Co-op. The group said it plans to host more agricultural events this year, though no dates were finalized.
This, according to the Cortez Journal. Demand for public transit is growing in southwest Colorado, but state funding to support it needs improvement, according to local agencies and a January report by the Southwest Energy Efficiency Project. Colorado was ranked 29th nationwide for per capita spending on transit services, according to the report, spending just $2.61 per person in 2014, less than New Mexico, Wyoming, and North Dakota. Nationwide, states paid $53.90 per person for public transit services, such as buses, trains, bike lanes, sidewalks, and trails. Public transit can reduce vehicles' use and reduce road maintenance and expansion costs, but state subsidies to support public transit fall short in Colorado, the report says. Nationwide, states provide 26% of operating costs and 12% of capital costs for public transit, but Colorado provided zero operating funding and only 1% of transit capital, according to a 2015 Colorado Department of Transportation plan. Since 2015, spending in operating costs has gone up slightly, but remains at less than 1%. Compared with the other states, the level of state support for public transit in Colorado is one of the lowest in the country, states a January policy brief by the Southwest Energy Efficiency Project, or SWEEP. States are crucial partners for implementing good public transport, bicycle, and pedestrian infrastructure in addition to highways. The report points to several studies that show the public transit funding gap in Colorado is $500 million per year, including $107 million per year for rural transit funding that includes providing access to medical care. In the past 2 years, state lawmakers have introduced several pieces of legislation to increase transportation funding, but none were approved, and they focused on revenues to maintain and expand highways. Proposals that got the most attention included $3.5 billion in bonds and raising the Colorado sales tax by $760 million per year, but neither provided significant funding for transit, walking, or biking. Lawmakers are again attempting to draft a transportation bill under the leadership of House Speaker Crisanta Duran, Democrat from Denver, and Senate President Kevin Grantham, Republican from Canyon City, in an effort to ensure that the potential bill boosts transit funding and that rural areas don't get left behind. The Colorado Public Interest Group is touring rural counties to encourage local governments to speak up. A transit funding bill is being looked into, and rural counties need to be heard, said Colleen McLaughlin, campaign organizer for Colorado PIRG. Let State Senator Don Coram know. Let your local county and city governments know about transit needs in your community so you can get a share of the new funding. Locally here in Dolores County, the Senior Services Program provides free transportation for seniors to doctor appointments as well as trips to Cortez and around Dove Creek. The program is available to all residents. Arrangements need to be made enough in advance of the date to assure coordination for transport can be made. Currently, twice a month on the second and fourth Wednesdays, a bus goes to Cortez where riders can shop, run errands, or just get out of town for a day. The bus departs at 10 a.m. and returns by 2 or 3. Call 562-4626 at least the day before to reserve your spot. The Roadrunner Stage Line's daily route between Durango and Grand Junction is also seeing increased ridership. In 2016, ridership was 7,970 riders, up from 5,960 in 2015 and 1,871 the year before. The bus passes through Mancos, Cortez, Dolores, Telluride, Ridgway, and Montrose. The word is getting out more, and people are taking advantage of our affordable, reliable regional bus service, Director Nesbitt said. People from Telluride are taking it down to Montrose to shop. Cyclists are using it to get to different trails, and we get skiers taking advantage as well. The Roadrunner stage lines began in 2014 and after Greyhound pulled out of the region. It operates under the umbrella of the Southern Ute Community Action Program and depends on $600,000 per year in state and federal subsidies to operate in addition to ticket sales.
According to the Cortez Journal, asteroids, fireballs, and airport delays were the topics of conversation at the Sunflower Theater last Thursday. as part of the theater's Ideas and Lecture series. Local space expert Ray Williamson spoke to a packed house in a presentation titled America's Little-Known Civilian Space Efforts, Observing, Detecting, and Warning. Williamson, a former astronomy professor and analyst in the U.S. Office of Technology Assessment, went over some of the work being done by organizations in the country that put satellites in space, but that don't always get much attention from the public. The work done by those satellites can range from finding lost airplanes and ships to predicting space weather, to making everyday things like ATM transactions possible. Williamson started the lecture by saying he didn't plan to talk about manned spaceflight, even though that's the first thing that comes to most people's minds when they think about human activity above the atmosphere. I want to introduce some space agencies you might not know about, not because they are secret, but because people just don't know about them, Williamson said. I feel like programs like I'm going to talk about tonight are really focused on bringing benefits back to Earth. In addition to NASA, he mentioned the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, the U.S. Geological Survey, and the National Security Agency as examples of government organizations that operate satellites for various reasons. One of those reasons is search and rescue. Satellites can track the electric beacons that are installed on most ships and aircraft, as well as the personal kind that hikers and skiers carry into wilderness areas. Williamson said search and rescue is one of the areas where U.S. space agencies cooperate the most with other countries. But one of the most important things satellites track and observe, according to the presentation, is space weather. Solar flares, meteorites, and other extraterrestrial phenomena that can wreak havoc on planet Earth and the infrastructure of the people who live here. As an example, Williamson talked about the major solar flares in September 1859 that caused the northern lights to be visible as far south as India and destroyed telegraph machines across the United States. Even today, some airplanes won't fly during solar storms, and solar activity sometimes knocks out power grids. He also told the story of the Tunguska event, an explosion that took place over Siberia in 1908, flattening more than 1,000 square miles of forest. For a long time, its cause was uncertain, but Williamson said scientists today believe the explosion was a shock wave from a huge asteroid burning up in the atmosphere. It is estimated to have created up to 300 times the energy of the atomic bomb at Hiroshima. Satellites can help the government detect these disasters in advance, but they still have a long way to go in learning how to prevent them, Williamson said. One way to stop a large asteroid from hitting the Earth would be to use a satellite to affect its gravity and move it off course, or to propel it away with an explosion. But Williamson said the world still needs an international group that could authorize such a mission if it ever became necessary. The theater was full Thursday night, which was good for KSJD Radio, which set up a table for donations after the lecture. The event itself was free, like all other entries in the lecture series, although a $5 donation was encouraged. Several audience members engaged in discussion with Williamson afterward, especially about the effects of space weather on the planet and what people can do to minimize them. The next entry in this Ideas and Lecture series has not yet been announced.
From the Durango Herald, Republican leaders in Utah and Maine are asking President Donald Trump to step into uncharted territory and rescind national monument designations made by his predecessor. The Antiquities Act of 1906 does not give the president power to undo a designation, and no president has ever taken such a step. But President Trump isn't like other presidents. Former President Barack Obama used his power under the act to permanently preserve more land and water using national monument designations than any other president. The land is generally off limits to timber harvesting, mining and pipelines, and commercial use and development. In Utah, on his way out of office, the former president created Bears Ears National Monument on 1.3 million acres of land that's sacred to Native Americans and is home to tens of thousands of archaeological sites, including ancient cliff dwellings. Obama created the Catoctin Woods and Waters National Monument in Maine last summer on 87,500 acres of donated forest land. The expanse includes part of the Penobscot River and stunning views of Mount Katahdin, Maine's tallest mountain. Trump's staff is now reviewing those decisions by the Obama administration to determine economic impacts, whether the law was followed, and whether there was appropriate consultation with local officials, the White House told the Associated Press. The Utah legislature approved a resolution signed by the governor calling on Trump to rescind monument status for Bears Ears. Republican leaders in Utah contend the monument designation adds another layer of unnecessary federal control in a state where there's already heavy federal ownership. Maine Republican Governor Paul LePage is opposed to the designation and says federal ownership could stymie industrial development. He asked the president last week to intervene. Newly sworn-in Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke has said he'll fight the sale or transfer of public lands, but he also believes states should be able to weigh in. The National Parks Conservation Association has vowed to sue if Trump, the Interior Department, or Congress tries to remove the special designations. In Maine, the prospect of undoing the designation is further complicated by deed stipulations requiring the National Park Service to control the land and a $40 million endowment to support the monument, said Lucas St. Clair, son of Burt Bee's co-founder Roxanne Quimby, who acquired the land. 3 of the 4 members of Maine's congressional delegation want the monument to stand to avoid reopening a divisive debate in towns surrounding the property. Utah Republicans, however, appear to be ready for a scrap. Representative Jason Chaffetz raised the issue when he met with Trump, and he asked the House Appropriations Committee to cut funding for the monument. Not one elected official in Utah that represents the Bears Ears region supports the designation of a national monument. With the stroke of a pen, President Obama, having never visited the area, created a monument the size of Delaware, Rhode Island, and Washington, D.C. combined. And now, let's take a look at our weather.
The National Weather Service has canceled the wind advisory for lower elevations. Keep in mind that today will still be a breezy day, and moderate to strong and gusty winds are still anticipated over the mountains. The atmosphere will dry out behind the front today, with mountain snow ending this evening. Cold air will continue to infiltrate the area today, resulting in much cooler temperatures. The overnight temperature here is expected to be in the upper teens. Temperatures will begin to warm on Tuesday as weak high pressure begins to build over the area. By Friday afternoon, some moisture will sneak into northern portions of Colorado and Utah, with a possibility of precipitation mainly north of I-70. That moisture will be short-lived as the ridge of high pressure reestablishes itself over the forecast area Saturday night into Sunday. In our national weather, onshore flow continuing the Pacific Northwest will bring more rain along the Pacific coast today, along with snow showers inland well into the Intermountain West. These will slowly taper off throughout the day and overnight. Winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories remain in effect for portions of the northwest U.S. throughout the day. A strengthening low-pressure system continues to move into the northern plains this morning. This system will shift northeast into the upper Mississippi Valley this evening, reaching south-central Canada overnight. An extensive cold front associated with this low will push eastward across much of the central U.S. throughout the day, moving across the Mississippi Valley and the southern plains tonight, then proceed to the Atlantic seaboard by Wednesday morning. Return flow along the backside of this departing high is drawing a warm and moist air stream northward from the Gulf of Mexico. That will continue to spark scattered showers and thunderstorms across the southeast U.S. throughout the day. But as the cold front approaches the Mississippi River later in the day, this warm, moist, and unstable flow will be further enhanced, resulting in stronger and more widespread showers and thunderstorms for much of the Mississippi River Valley region this evening. That will then go on to parts eastward overnight and into Tuesday. Strong to severe thunderstorms are possible in those areas. At the same time, the northern plains will find themselves on the backside of the low and in the cold. Precipitation there will continue to fall as a wintry mix of rain, snow, and sleet, transitioning to all snow today. Winter weather advisories are currently in effect for portions of the northern plains as a result. In our the next 5 days will be creeping slowly up from the mid-30s to the upper 40s by Saturday. Lows will begin in the teens and also slowly climb to the lower 30s by Saturday night. And now back to the news.
Reported in the Cortez Journal, for the second year in a row, fitness enthusiasts will line up at the Gear Memorial Park trailhead on March 11th for the first of 3 foot races. The Gear Park Trail Series was first organized last year by Megan Flesch and Michael Grajeda as a way to promote fitness and awareness of Cortez City parks. This year it will include 3 Saturday races, a 3-mile race on March 11th, a 4-mile race on April 1st, and a 5-mile race on May 6th, all of which will take place on the roughly 9 miles of dirt trails in Gear Park. The cost is $20 for adults and $15 for youth. Same-day registration costs $25. All proceeds from the event will go to the Montezuma Land Conservancy. Flesch says it's a good reason to get out and use the trails that we have here. We also want to show community support for these outdoor areas. Gear is home to about 60 acres of mountain bike trails and hiking areas, and the city of Cortez, along with some town residents, has pushed to expand it over the past few years. In 2017, they hope to add a paved trail to access the lake in Gear Natural Area, which could open up a possible fishing spot. In all 3 races, the first 3 male and female runners to cross the finish line will receive prizes, but there will also be a raffle for other prizes open to everyone who registers for the series. She said the races are open to people of all ages and all levels of ability, whether they're competitive runners or leisurely joggers just out to have fun. Last year, between 70 and 80 people participated in the 3 races. Flesch said she hopes to top that number this year, not only to raise more money, but also so that more people can get out and see Gear Park, which is one of several outdoor recreation spots in Montezuma County that could benefit from the funds. Last year's trail series raised about $700 for Montezuma Land Conservancy. In November, the nonprofit helped a Cortez resident get a conservation easement to permanently add 40 acres of his land, including bike and hiking trails, to Gear Park. Flesch said she hopes this year's series will raise more money to make more projects like that possible. The races are being sponsored by Osprey Packs, Johnson Physical Therapy and Rehab, Cocopelli Bike and Board, Durango Running Company, Tuffy Security Products, Tailwind Nutrition, and the City of Cortez, among others. Participants can register on the day of the event, but only cash or check payments will be accepted. Flesch said that she and Grajeda decided to start the races a little later in the day this year in hopes that the weather will be warm. They will also not be holding a race on Mother's Day as they did last year. All the details are posted on the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, which links to the Gear Park Trail Series Facebook page as well.
Last week's CO2 average is in at 407.37. Week before last was 406.91. 1 year ago was 404.08, and 10 years ago was 384.04. Reuters announced that Antarctica hit a record high temperature at 63.5 degrees Fahrenheit on March 1st. This also happened to be the same as the temperature in Cairo, Egypt that day. Antarctica's record temperature was recorded at an Argentine research base which sits at the northern tip of the continent's peninsula. Do you remember watching the beetle kill of so many of our Rocky Mountain pines due to drought stresses? Some areas were 80 to 90% losses, and some in the least 45 to 60% losses of dead trees due to beetle kill. Near the end of Austria's record hot 2015 summer, the forests above the Danube near Linz were sapped out. Daily highs topped 95 degrees for 13 days. There are places that would mean nothing, but there it smashed the previous streak of 5 days set during the ferociously hot summer of 2003. But 5 or up to 13 days there is apparently a lot. A little higher up, away from the river, there are fire warning signs at the edge of nearly 200-acre plantation of pines that's under attack by bark beetles. A year ago, the insects claimed an even larger patch nearby. None of the old-timers in that area can remember seeing the tree-killing bugs on such a scale. To the south are the Alps, where 95 degrees was once unheard of. Throughout the region, climate trackers as well as forest managers and firefighters were on edge. Never had such a high fire danger prevailed for weeks on end, he said. What seemed so old hat here was a preview of conditions expected much more frequently on a greenhouse gas-warmed Earth. We are too used to fire seasons here and have lost our sense of loss and urgency, according to new regional and global climate studies that project widespread increases in forest fire danger. Most fire ecologists have been reluctant to attribute extreme fires to climate change, but in the last few years we have crossed the line, said David Bowman, a University of Tasmania fire geographer. He has tracked the growing global wildfire footprint. In a study published February 6th in the Journal of Nature, Ecology and Evolution, He says the anomalous weather has become consistently anomalous, the new normal. I'm confident that we're seeing climate change play out in fires, he added. A close look at 478 of the most extreme fires between 2002 and 2013 showed the close link between disastrous fires and extreme droughts and heat waves. The study projects that the number of days conducive to extreme fires will increase by 20 to 50% globally by mid-century. I've been studying unusual fires for years and I can't keep up, Woolman said, describing a decade during which new fire extremes from Chile to Australia to western North America, that's our stomping grounds, burned at a dizzying pace. One of the findings is that fires are burning in vegetation that's not archetypally combustible. That means places that are not fire adapted could see more severe fires in the years ahead.
From the Cortez Journal, the Four States Agricultural Exposition has a long history in Montezuma County, but this year it will look to the future. For decades, the annual 3-day event has drawn thousands of agricultural producers, suppliers, and other curious residents from the Four Corners area to Montezuma County Fairgrounds. The 35th Expo, scheduled for March 16th through the 18th, will offer educational sessions for producers on hot topics in the industry, as well as several new events for kids and entertainment for all ages. Organizers said their goal is that everyone who visits the expo learns something new regardless of their age or experience. Although the event is mainly geared toward farmers, ranchers, and others in the agricultural industry, the expo's executive director, Radiance Beals, said everyone is welcome. We want to reach everybody in order to continue our agricultural heritage, she said. Without agriculture, everybody's way of life would change. The expo always includes several educational sessions and hands-on clinics for producers. In past years, the focus has been on water and irrigation problems, but Gus Westerman, the Colorado State University Extension agent who schedules the sessions, said those issues aren't at the forefront of most producers' minds. This year, we're actually looking pretty good, he said. Commodity prices are actually the #1 issue since they're very low right now, but the expo is too late in the year to really make a difference there, so we've been having workshops earlier in the year about those topics. Instead, the expo will expand its summit education sessions, which count as educational credits for various crop-related certifications. This year's sessions include a pesticide applicators workshop and an invasive weed symposium, the latter of which will count for continuing education credits in both Colorado and New Mexico. Another new event at the expo this year is the Agceptional Kids Rodeo, a series of events for kids with disabilities or other special needs that keep them from competing in the regular youth contests. Scheduled for Thursday morning, it will include sack races, a gentle bucking horse ride, and other competitions supervised by several volunteers. As always, the expo will also feature hands-on education for all ages. Brandy Lyons, Carl Wood, Glenn Ryan, and Mia Stovall will teach clinics on horse and dog training. Stovall will supervise the stock dog trials and pre-trials, new events this year that allow aspiring trainers to test their dog skill in various herding scenarios. And as always, 4-H and FFA students will be able to show off their animals during the livestock judging. Even the children's games that will go on throughout the expo have educational purposes, like the mock auctions, kids roping, and mutton busting events. But Beals said there will be plenty of live entertainment as well. The focus is on education, but we want to throw some fun in there too, she said. A few local bands will perform over the 3 days, and there will be several family events without an educational twist, like ice cream eating contest. Beals said the details of the expo schedule aren't all set in stone yet, but she expects a full order of events to be available on the event website within the next week or two. Entry cost is $5 at the gate or $15 for a 3-day pass. For more information, visit 4statesagexpo.com or contact Radiance Beals at 970-529-3486 or info@4statesagexpo.com.
Due to a motorcycle accident at Slick Rock early this morning, the release of the sheriff's report will be delayed. We'll bring you the report on Tuesday's broadcast. In other news reported in the Durango Herald, a New Mexico paleontologist says he has uncovered a new species of dinosaur after examining fossilized fragments in a museum collection. Sebastian Dauman works at the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science and had questioned the fragments, which were thought to be from a Torosaurus, a relative of the Triceratops. Last year, Dauman headed to the site in south central New Mexico, where the bones were originally unearthed, to help with 2 digs. The search turned up more parts of the dinosaur, including pieces of its cranium. I put them all together based on what we now have. identified it as a new genus and a new species, Dowman told the Albuquerque Journal. Dowman didn't release more details on what led to his conclusion. He's scheduled to formally announce his findings at a conference in April. He said it lived at the end of the so-called Cretaceous period and was a plant-eating relative of the Triceratops. Examining the body parts of creatures and determining their age is part of the important work we do here at the museum, Dowman said. The museum has 78,000 cataloged fossil specimens in its database, most of them from New Mexico, said Tom Williamson, curator of paleontology.
And here's today's High Country happenings. Tuesday, March 7th, the Hisatsinom chapter of the Colorado Archaeology Society presents Dr. Jesse Toon at 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church, 515 Park Street, to discuss, quote, the first Americans, migration routes, and adaptations in the Ice Age. Toon discusses archaeological and genetic research that informs about the America's first inhabitants. For details, call Carrie Schleller at 505-269-4475. Also Tuesday, March 7th at 10 a.m., Dolores County will be honored as the newest Storm Ready County in western Colorado at a Storm Ready recognition ceremony during the Dolores County Commissioners meeting in the courthouse building. Everyone is invited to attend, or for more information about the program, go online to weather.gov/stormready. DCTV will be covering that event for Tuesday's program. Tiffany Parisi, who worked hard to acquire this status, will be the in-studio guest for Talk Tuesday, the live call-in show at 5:30 p.m. right here on DCTV. The Durango Regional Job Fair will be held March 22nd. Show times are from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. March 22nd, 2017 at the La Plata County Fairgrounds in Durango. For more information and to check out the list of vendors, go online to fourcornersexpos.com or call Cindy Fisher at 970-375-4599, C. Fisher at bcimedia.com, or Sharon Hermes, 970-375-4411, Sharon at durangoherald.com. The date has passed to be listed in the Sukla Brothers Spring Auction Catalog, but there is still time to bring in your items to be auctioned March 31st through April 2nd. Vehicles sell Friday at 5 p.m. The farm auction is Saturday and Sunday starting at 9 a.m. The cutoff to accept consignments is Thursday, March 30th at 5 p.m. Go online to sukla.com or call Alan at 970-749-1958 or Larry Don at 759-3940. All of these happenings are listed on the DCTV Facebook page. Check it out. We hope to be streaming the news at noon as a live feed to Facebook very soon. If you have news or event information you'd like us to share, send us an email at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call us here at the station. The number is 677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon, Monday through Wednesday, and rebroadcast at 2:30 and now 6 p.m. And again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order.
And again, check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Like us there, join the local conversation, and share it with a friend. And a program note that our Talk Tuesday live call-in show will begin airing live on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. and can be seen rebroadcast nightly thereafter at 5:30 before the evening news replays.
For Kinder Cook and everyone at DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, I'm Jerry Tope. Thanks for watching.